Israeli occupational soldiers recently sprayed a chemical weapon at college students who were protesting at a university, and that university wasn't in Palestine. It was in the United States. You heard that right. According to Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine, as well as multiple students who have been interviewed as a result of what has been going on, two Columbia University students, both IOF soldiers, sprayed a chemical weapon at peaceful protesters. They used what's called skunk spray on these college protesters. Now, skunk spray or skunk water is a liquid compound with an overpowering odor that's been described by those who have experienced it as smelling of sewage mixed with rotting corpses. It's a really nasty chemical concoction that, beyond smelling horrific, also causes intense nausea, obstructs normal breathing, causes violent gagging and vomiting, and also causes skin irritation, eye, and abdominal pain. Israeli occupational forces use skunk water as a means of harassing and attacking Palestinians in historic Palestine. Israeli occupational forces deploy it regularly against Palestinians who are protesting, but also use it as a form of collective punishment by filling up vehicles and going around Palestinian neighborhoods spraying buildings with it. But back to Columbia University, reporting from the Columbia Spectator says that protesters were allegedly sprayed with a hazardous chemical while attending a pro-Palestine Divestment Now rally on Low Steps on Friday. According to the testimony of nearly 24 students, they reported foul smell, physical symptoms, and property damage after the protest. 18 students reported a putrid smell during or after the protest, with 10 reporting physical symptoms such as burning eyes, headaches, and nausea, with 3 having sought medical attention and 8 reported damage to their personal belongings. There were multiple students who identified this substance as skunk, and that's something that's really notable because initially some of the students reportedly thought they just got stink bombed. However, a student later reported that her Palestinian friends told her they recognized the smell from the West Bank in Palestine due to the use by Israeli occupational forces on Palestinians. Now, there are images going around that have preliminarily identified at least one of these men, and you can see here they really do look the fucking part. But this is worth analyzing for multiple reasons, the obvious one being that Israeli occupational forces just attacked people at Columbia University for exercising the First Amendment rights. Columbia University isn't in Ramallah. It's not in Gaza. It's not in East Jerusalem. That is in the so-called United States, right? Those are Israeli occupational forces that are nowhere near historic Palestine, terrorizing people who are standing in solidarity with Palestinians. But it's also worth analyzing really critically because it's likely not to be the only time we see something like this happening over the next few years. It's been reported that about 10,000 people living in the United States reported for Israeli military duty after receiving draft notices after October 7th. These are people who are actively fighting in and facilitating the efforts of the Israeli military in historic Palestine. These are thousands of people who will eventually come back after spending however long they were over there either committing or facilitating horrific atrocities against Palestinians. We're talking about people who are willingly going over to historic Palestine and participating in genocidal military operations. We're talking about fascist stormtroopers coming back after they've done these things. I want you to think about that and then realize how terrifying that really is. Those people could be your neighbors, your coworkers, your local police officer, the person who teaches your kids, your local city council representative, hell, your local congressperson. Those are people who are going to face probably no real consequence for the horrific actions they committed because the United States has fundamentally allied itself to the Israeli settler colonial project. But those are people that are co-conspirators in a genocide, and eventually they're coming home. And I think that's really worth thinking about, especially with stories like this already fucking happening. But yeah, as always, free Palestine, and have a great day.